You've decided you want to buy a special bottle of whiskey, but you're worried you might get scammed? If you want to know what the top scams are out there, stick around.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Bourbon Real Talk. Of course, this is Randy, and I'm Wes, and you're tuned into another great episode. We've got some good stuff coming for you, but before we get there, we get asked a lot, how can I support the channel?
Yep.
Well, lucky for you, right now we have 0 paid memberships. This is free content that we put our hard-earned time and efforts into. And so here we are recording another episode today for you, and you're watching it now and wondering, how can I support you guys? Well, the best way to do that is the bourbonrealtalk.com shop. Okay, We've got cool swag on there, t-shirts, some new arrivals that you're going to really like in the apparel section.
Long sleeves.
Of course, long sleeves for the winter months coming up, and we've got those coveted and just people love those travel cases for their Glens. You show up to a bottle share or a whiskey party, pull out your own Glens, man, you look like a superstar. So go on the shop today. Pick out something that you love just in time for holiday season shopping. And so that's the best way that you can keep this channel up and rolling. So without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Let's jump into it. All right, let's do a little bit of a background here, why we're doing this episode. So 2 very well-intentioned Bourbon Real Talk community members recently got scammed. And it was a little bit heartbreaking because the scammers used the community aspect of BRTC to kind of, make it seem like it was more of a legit thing. And when I figured out what the scammer did, I thought, man, that was a whole lot of effort. That was elaborate, right? And I wanted to see if I could crowdsource some ideas of what other people have seen in terms of scams and what you can do to protect yourself to make sure that it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of people that find themselves in the whiskey community are new whiskey drinkers, right? They're noobs. They're trying to get in there. They're trying to get involved. And it's a great place to do that, but you do need to be aware with your antennas up and know some of those red flags to look out for. Hopefully after this episode, you might have a better idea of how to protect yourself from some of these scams.
Now, most of the scams are going to be online scams where you're buying a bottle online. And a little bit of background, this used to not be a problem.
Right.
But at Bourbon and Beyond in 2019, the Van Winkles admitted that they had been working with Facebook to take down the bourbon secondary market. And before all of this stuff happened, and they were clear, their goal was they wanted to stop the black market. They didn't like that prices were being bid up on their products and all of that stuff. And what actually ended up happening was, instead of stopping the black market, all they did is fractionate the secondary market.
Spread it out.
It spread out. Now it's broken up into countless tiny groups. And there's not as much visibility.
Right.
And it actually created an environment where it was much easier for scammers to take advantage, because there used to be a single place that everyone went when you wanted to buy a bottle on the secondary. Right?
Yeah.
And you could do background checks. You could check the history of that seller and all that stuff. And anytime somebody got wrong and they figured out that they were selling fakes or whatever, they would get lambasted across the entire community, and everybody would know, don't do business with this person anymore. And unfortunately, the Van Winkles kind of destroyed that, trying to do a good thing. Yeah.
And not only that, but because of the anonymity that social media brings, okay, you banned me, I'll start a new account and become a different person. And so it's a tough place to regulate that sort of activity, unfortunately.
Yeah. So when I was going through all of the crowdsourced scams, I kind of broke it down into several different categories of scams. And the first category is when you get a bottle, but it's not what you paid for.
That is a downer.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I've seen them do is changing the sticker from a valuable single barrel to a common bottle.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So there's a liquor store that's kind of got famous for their picks. And so say they release a Blanton's, right? That's a single barrel. It's got that little sticker on it.
Right.
I've seen scams where somebody takes the time to take that sticker off and then put it on a regular bottle of Blanton's and sell it for way more money than what it's actually worth. And remember Warehouse C?
Yeah,
I've heard of it. When E.H. Taylor came out. I've seen a scam where somebody removed the Warehouse C sticker, the whole label, and ended up putting it on a regular E.H. Taylor small batch.
And I mean, gosh, technology these days, you can create a label that looks exactly like the label. So that's frightening in itself. And so, of course, you see that as a scam.
Right. And The most common scam would be the refill bottles.
Right. New seal on it. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. I've got a bottle of Blanton's here, Blanton's Gold, that's actually
Something else.
Just regular single barrel or something like that.
Yeah, and sometimes the scammers, I mean, they're smart. They know enough about mash bills to go, oh, okay, well, if I'm going to do like an E.H. Taylor product, I'm going to use Benchmark Bonded because they're the same mash bill and they're both 100 proof, right?
Sure.
And you could slide it in there, and unless you were really experienced at drinking that particular rare bottle, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
You guys suck. All of you.
Yeah, well, the scammers, we hate those guys. Okay.
All right, sorry. Just get my blood boiling, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. I get so upset.
Hey, you know what I'm going to do?
What?
I'm going to start a vigilante group. And we're going to find you guys.
Yeah.
And we're going to come to your door.
Well, most of them are overseas.
Well, I've got people overseas.
That's true. We can make it happen.
Yeah.
We'll find a way.
We'll find you.
Yeah.
You'll pay.
Approximately 10 hours later.
So along with the refill bottles, we have some problems with Dusties too. Because Dusties, you know, their flavor has changed, right? And so you don't exactly know.
Yeah, you don't know what a 1979 bottle of Jim Beam tastes like.
Sure.
Most people. So you could take some regular Jim Beam and dilute the crap out of it and probably taste pretty similar.
right, because they lose proof over time and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is figure out how to replace that dusty tack strip on there.
Right. That's a little bit more difficult.
Right. And then another one that I've seen is selling open bottles.
Oh, yeah. That's a no-no. I would never buy an open bottle, unless it was from you, of course.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, right, is that's the long con.
Yeah.
Because the people that have gotten caught selling fakes and open bottles had to first build the credibility to even be able to sell an open bottle.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw, but this last week, a nationwide well-known guy went down.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not see.
Yeah, he got caught selling a fake William LaRue Weller that was open and something else. And they were like from, you know, special vintage years that were worth a whole lot of extra money. So he ripped some people off, and he's been blacklisted from everything.
Really?
Yeah, we even checked to make sure he wasn't in Bourbon Real Talk community because, you know,
that's good.
No trolls and no scammers.
Yeah.
So, and then we have a new phenomenon that's come on the scene: commercially produced fakes.
Now that's one thing that'll be a little bit harder to identify, I would say.
Yeah.
Because, again, you're buying a product that, while it may have a similar mash bill or quote-unquote the same mash bill, but coming from overseas, you know, it could have a little bit different twang to it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and they have the technology, and if they're going to do it on a large enough scale, I mean, they can perfectly reproduce these bottles.
For sure.
So that, I mean, it's next to impossible to figure out. And it's usually done overseas. Places where historically there's been a lot of, you know, copyright violations and things like that. There are whole industries over there that thrive on this stuff, and there are some rumors that they are starting to get into whiskey.
Yeah.
You know, and you can guess which ones they're going to fake.
Right, exactly. And, you know, the next one really caught me by surprise.
Okay.
Because you wouldn't think this would be taking place, but it has. And there's been rumors of this happening a lot more often. And that's when restaurants, and I would even lump in you know, bars and that sort of thing, where they're known for having good pours, but they don't get the bottles of the rare stuff that they usually get. So why not just fill them up with other stuff? And the consumer's coming in here drunk anyways, and he's not going to know the difference.
Right.
And so that is something that's a little bit more scary as well, and something that hits a little more close to home, because, you know, we all have those favorite bars that we go to, and we know, man, that those people usually have a Weller 12, or they're known for having some of those more allocated bottles on the shelf for pours, and they're still going to charge you that pour price, but it may not be that same juice.
And that's this one, it scares me a little bit, because how often do you think I drink George T. Stagg or William LaRue Weller when I'm at a restaurant? Never.
Never, right.
Right, because I can drink it for next to nothing at home.
Right,
right.
exactly.
So who buys it when it's $140 a pour?
Right. It's
a person that's not experienced it, knowing what it's supposed to taste like.
Exactly. Someone trying to show off for the friends or for out on a special dinner anniversary date or whatever.
They're splurging.
And they may not have the palate to say, hey, I've had this pour dozens of times. That's where I know the difference. So that's
not cool.
Yeah, it's not cool.
And I've met one person who said he hated William LaRue Weller And
Yeah,
then
it makes you wonder.
I gave him real stuff, and he's like, "This is not what I drink."
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Makes you wonder.
And he paid over $100 for a pour at some bar.
Oh, gosh. So, Randy, which one of the Still Austin whiskeys is your favorite?
It's like picking between my kids, man.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard. Originally, I got to try the Musician when it first came out. Came in this beautiful wooden tube. It was a 375. Really knocked my socks off.
Yeah.
And then they hit me with a cash strength version, and I was like, lights out. This is hands down the best Kentucky-esque bourbon to come out of the state of Texas. No doubt.
Yeah.
Then I go to Whiskey Riot, and they got a table, and I get to try their rye whiskey.
Ooh.
And now I can't decide which one is my favorite.
You know how we are such proof hounds. I got to lean toward the cash strength personally, even though it is very hard to say. The rye is, for a non-rye guy, I love it. It doesn't overpower you with that rye spice, but it's still well balanced to where it comes through. Man, it is hard to choose. So why don't you choose for yourself? Next time that you're out and about, look for Still Austin on the shelf, because you will not be disappointed with those big, bold flavors coming out of the Lone Star State of Texas.
That's right. Why don't you pick up the whole lineup and let us know what you think?
You can thank us later.
Still Austin, Bourbon Real Talk approved. To have a bottle shipped to your door or find a retailer, click the link in the video description.
All right, so the next category of scam is a scam where you buy a bottle, but you don't get a bottle.
You don't get the bottle.
You don't ever get the bottle. And the number one for this is fake online stores. And the way they do it, it's crazy how elaborate these stores are.
Yeah.
So the other day, the Prideful Goat 15, one of my wife's friends was trying to find a bottle, and she sends this link to this online liquor store.
Yeah.
And I go to it, and you know the chats that pop up?
Yeah.
A chat pops up, and this woman's like, "Can I help you?" And I was like, "I'm looking for the Prideful Goat 15." And she said, "We have 13 in stock." And I was like, "Oh, really?
Nice.
Where are they at?" And she was like, "They're in Tennessee." And I'm like, "That was never distributed in Tennessee."
Right.
And I'm like, "What's the price?" And the price was the regular retail price that we had released it at the distillery, which I knew was not possible because they had to buy these and then resell them. And the whole thing was just a completely fake store.
Wow.
And so that one scared me a little bit. And I had to tell my friend, I was like, "Do not buy. You will never get this bottle."
No.
Yeah. And we're coming up on Christmas. And that brings me to the next scam that I see around this time of year. It's the pyramid scheme.
Oh,
scam.
yeah. You can get the whole Van Winkle selection for donating to this charity and being entered to win. And they've got all these different things going on to help good causes. That's the ones I see a lot. Fundraisers, right? Is, man, you're going to help this organization, and they probably don't have all those bottles. And conveniently,
I've never met anybody who got
nobody's ever won a collection from those things.
Have you gotten the offer? You're going to participate in this process, and you're going to give one bottle, but then all of these other people that are the next level down are all going to send you a bottle.
Yeah, pyramid scheme.
The
type
pyramid
thing.
scheme type thing.
Yeah.
That I see that usually around Christmas.
Yeah.
Of course, the fundraiser scam.
Yeah.
So then that brings us to the last category, and that is when you get what you paid for, but you paid too much.
Yes.
Okay.
I consider that a scam.
I would consider that a scam. So the one that I wanted to talk about, because every so often you'll have a new release that hits the market and everybody loses their minds, right? Like Russell's 13. And you would see all these people trying to sell the bottle right after release, and the prices just skyrocketed. And they would always say that it was cross-posted, right? And then they'd come back and mark it as sold for some really super high valuation. But you never really saw the person who bought it because it was always in a cross post.
Yeah.
And that's what I would call a non-arm's length transaction.
Right. Yeah.
And so I have seen people get scammed because they were using fake comps to determine what an appropriate price was.
Sure. You see that a lot in those groups. People saying, "Yes, I sold this bottle on a different group or whatever." But it just sets the tone for that's what these are worth. And not only can they come back and sell it on that group for that price, but other people see that who have a bottle of that same thing at home, and they're like, "Oh, I could get that for this." So they start selling it. It just keeps jacking up the prices.
Yeah. And so you end up getting taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And another scam is when you buy a bottle based on award, but you don't know that everybody gets a trophy, right? So most of the Spirit Awards are very similar to Little League Baseball.
Sure.
Everyone's getting a trophy these days.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what you have to realize is that it may have won gold. That does not mean first place.
Right.
What that means typically is there was double gold, silver, and bronze. And everyone's going to get one of these levels, right?
Yep.
So there might have been 20 producers that all got double gold,
Yep.
right? And if you get bronze in that competition, all that means is that they think it won't poison you,
Right.
Right? Like
we stayed alive after we drank
stayed
it.
alive after we drank it. That would be really, really bad. But you're standing in the liquor store, look at that award and go, oh, they came in third place or they came in fourth place.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
As a marketing guy, I understand. It's
Right.
marketing, right? I say that Bourbon Real Talk is a gold standard YouTube channel.
I'd say double gold, maybe even
gold?
platinum.
Okay, platinum. Yes, It is a platinum show. So if you're looking for platinum content, here you are. You're welcome.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how they trick you. Okay, so one of the things that they're doing with the fake profiles and websites and groups and pages and all that stuff is creating fake history.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to learn how to evaluate the history of a profile to see whether or not it passed muster, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Lots of stolen images. And so that's one way that you can kind of, protect yourself and identify.
If you've shopped a particular bottle and you keep seeing the same picture of the same bottle all across all these groups, that's a red flag for sure.
Sure. And one of the things that I've seen them do with their fake profiles is, you referenced it earlier, is a fake vouch, right? So they're in some communication with somebody and they say, hey, do you have any references?
Sure.
And they go, yeah, let me put you in a group chat with some people I've done deals with. All five of them are the same scammer.
Exactly.
Right.
Let me pull up a chat with me and all my other selves on the internet, and I'll give you a vouch for myself. No problem.
Right. So basically, as Wes said, just be cautious out there.
Yeah.
And I get that you're going to have that feeling that you're going to get this amazing deal and all that stuff. And they purposely make you feel that way.
Sure.
So that you'll overlook those red flags. Do not overlook those red flags.
Don't fall for it.
Don't fall for it. So if this is your first time watching, just love to thank you for the view and tell you a little bit about our show philosophy. We're all about bringing people together around bourbon. And that's something that's personally important to me because I lost my brother to suicide in 2014. And in the aftermath of that, I was trying to find ways to help people feel that sense of connectedness that he obviously didn't feel. And I started seeing how the connective power of whiskey was bringing people together from all walks of life. And I thought, if I can help people get connected to whiskey, the whiskey will do the rest of the job and get you all connected to each other. So that's part of the reason why we started the channel. But as I grew in my whiskey enthusiast ways, I did see kind of the dark side of the trolls that are in, the online community. And I saw them being hateful to strangers online. And that caused two things. One, it caused Wes here to convince me to start Bourbon Real Talk community so that we could have a forum that didn't have that culture.
Right.
And two, it taught me that if a stranger can hate you online, there's nothing that prevents me from loving you online, even though we don't really know each other. And that's why we end the podcast the same way. And that is this. If you woke up this morning and you're unsure whether or not anyone loved you, just know that we love you. And we'll see you next time on Bourbon Real Talk. Cheers. So you want...
You know me, I'm PC. I want a Republican and Democrat.
Oh, yeah, bro. Let's do it.
I don't want anyone to feel left
Corner
out. If they
flower.
had a libertarian taco, I would take that one too.
Corner
'Cause
flower.
I'm extra hungry today. Go on.
You don't want to get scammed. If we want to know...
Hello again, and welcome for tuning in to... what did I say?
I don't know. Those aren't words.
I need more whiskey. I don't even know what I just said.
Welcome for tuning in.
Welcome. That's what I said. Welcome for tuning in.
Yeah. That's
I'm
what he
awesome.
said.
I'm great at English.
I knew what
Here
he
we go.
meant. Hey, you knew what he meant. What was that? That Antoine Johnson? We're gonna find you. We're gonna find you. Sorry, you gotta look it up. It's
Yeah,
great.
I gotta look that up.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't accurate what you just did.
Well, when you see it, you're going to be shocked at how
spot on you were?
how spot on it was.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't singing that great.
Oh, was that the hide your kids, hide your wife?
Hide your
Okay.
kids, hide your wife.
Yeah.
That whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So overall, as what?
Yes, wet. We got a lot of good outtakes on this episode.
We do, yeah.